If you don't agree with me, then obviously you're a bad person. In our latest episode of Drop the Stones, we're talking about this confirmation bias and what it does and everything else. And in the episode, Candy mentioned that, she has this just tenuous relationship with her family where she remembers growing up and just being the prototypical good girl, obeyed all the rules, did all the things right, everything that was asked of her. And then when she left the faith, all of that left. It was no longer part of her character just because she believed a little differently than they did. And we started diving into that a little bit about this, good girl, bad girl type thing, and all this mentality of, are you a good kid or a bad kid, and what it really meant. And all it really meant was that she conformed to their beliefs. She conformed to what they want. She obeyed, which is exactly what these systems want. They want absolute and object obedience to them at all times, and that's what she gave. And her character was then defined as being a good girl, and it got her no extra value or benefit from people in religion or faith. They just knew she was going to be a good girl and that they could count on her for that, and could use that to their advantage on using it to shame other people or using it to get her to help on different things, because she was willing to conform to what they ever needed, because that's what a good girl would do, and that's what it needed to be. And we like to assign this just solely based on what we believe or teach or think or adhere to. And it's just so fucked up, because it forces people to conform and not think for themselves and not actually decide, is this a behavior that I would deem as good or bad? Instead, is this a behavior that would be interpreted as good or bad from the people that I put that power into? And it takes it completely away from you. It takes all the power away from you as an individual. And when she stepped out of that and started actually answering these questions on her own individual basis on whether or not these things and deeds that she did were good or bad based on what she felt and interpreted at that time, and lived more in a gray space of binary rules of how life is supposed to operate, but let's take everything in and of its own accord and judge it accordingly in that situation, she became a bad girl. But honestly, she was acting what most people in society that without a religious skew to them would think of as being a good person, taking the individual into account, taking the incident into account and evaluating it for what it was, listening to all sides of the story, getting a well-reasoned and balanced opinion on it, and then deciding on what way she was going to act or behave in there. All signs that point to being a good person. But the religious mindset didn't like it anymore. Even though it was good and valid behavior and that would be deemed proper in a lot of cases, she didn't conform to their belief system anymore. So she no longer was a good girl. I just find it interesting because it's not about merit, it's not about morality, it's not about anything like that. It's about conformity and control. Agree with me. Otherwise, you're going to be a bad person.